Yes, sirree. Welcome to Sunday Live Chat. Special guests today, post-punk techno superstars, adult, Adam and Nicola. Welcome from Detroit. Big up Detroit.
From Detroit.
That's right.
Hey.
Yeah, Detroit represent. What are you guys up to? It's a nice Sunday in Detroit, Sunday evening there. What's going on?
Right now we're working on a remix for Gina Birch from the Raincoats.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. We're really excited. She has a new solo album. It's brilliant. It made a ton of top best albums of the year.
Yeah, I think it's a year old today.
Today?
Yeah, I think today, or maybe yesterday, but this weekend. How about that?
Wow. The Raincoats is so old school. How do you guys make these classic connections to
I don't know.
like some of these people? You guys have done just a ton of work, not just in music, but overall, but including your remixes and extending out into the world greatly. I guess, what are you up to already? 25 years as a band together as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know it does get weird, doesn't it? The thing, I always love to learn more about a band when they come on, and you guys definitely no stranger to like the stuff that you've all done together. I was just blown away when I really looked into like your backgrounds.
Thanks.
And so I was wondering if adult is really in some ways an extension of everything you do, because it seems that you guys are multi-platform artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And it's even why I think sometimes it's kind of hard for us to be adult, like, you know, where you get kind of burnout with music and then we have to go on and just work on visual art. And then you get burnout with that. And then you have to get back to music because you're missing that. And I think the way, like, even just our house is just it's like a David Cronenberg of us.
It's so funny you should say that, because it was great meeting you guys for the first time in Pittsburgh.
Likewise.
And every time I think of Pittsburgh, because I don't often go there, I always think of the line in the Videodrome film, "See in Pittsburgh."
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys relate things like that, but you know what's really funny is like the art that was in Videodrome is kind of like, especially when I was looking at your installations and the pieces that you guys build when you present your art, it was very obviously encompassing three-dimensional worlds. Incredible. I was really blown away. And
thanks.
Did you guys meet at the Center for Creative Studies when were you there together, or is that how you met?
No, I'm a little bit older, so I was out of school when she started. So we're 4 years apart.
Yeah, I think we met at a Halloween party and we had a bad start.
That can always lead to good things, though, apparently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you get a record you don't like, and then years later you're like, that's my favorite record.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I have to say, okay, well, if you're in being so artistic and being like growing up around, it seems that, Adam, you've done a lot of like painting and three-dimensional work and all sorts of cool things. And Nicola, you've been doing your photographic sort of stuff. Is that what you guys were sort of like focusing on when you were studying?
Yeah, I mean, I went to school for commercial photography, and
I went for painting.
Oh, look at that.
There's some of those right there.
Yeah, no, I guess we've had a chance to see a lot of your great photo work with a lot of the album covers that you've been doing along the way, and is as well. I guess how do you decide how much? It's just great to see that you also integrate musical performance with film work and sort of like installations where you're performing within the installation, I take it?
Yeah.
Like in a different capacity. like not as adult, but like a different persona.
Right.
So like kind of more like these bumbling contractors, because our life has been like filled with a lot of like construction work, you know, like when we've decided like, oh, we're not doing adult anymore. We just start doing construction work for money. So we've done a lot of
Okay, I get that now.
so
That makes sense. It makes sense that,
yeah,
you know, when you got like you know,
right.
installations that involve craftsmanship as well.
Right.
So okay, that's why I asked.
Like if you take a piece like that there where you got the 2x4 studs exposed on the outside, that's obviously about the construction work we do, but it's also you take Mike Kelly, who's also from Detroit, and he did all the work with sets, and it was you would see the backside of a set. We thought it would be funny to just go ahead and take it all the way fully to construction.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And then that door has what 12 peepholes.
I think it's 13 peepholes, but
Oh, okay, I see that there. Is that those numbers are important? Yeah, no. So, inspirationally, I mean, growing up and being creative like this, but also having the vibrant music of Detroit around you, Adam, it seems that it has definitely seeped into your blood somewhere along the way.
It has, but I grew up in Indiana.
Oh, okay, forget that then.
Oh no. But I moved to Detroit in 1989 to go to Center for Creative Studies. So, I've been here over 35 years. So
you're a Detroiter.
Yeah, that's enough. That's credentials.
Yeah.
I guess you had to have been inspired by, I guess, some of the stuff that you were hearing around then. Obviously, Detroit techno. I mean, in the Lakar stuff that which you first started doing, I kind of hear all the things I love about what I would consider. Yeah, if I didn't know you, I'd be like, oh, listen to this phony track, or listen to this Motorway Sparks, or whatever. It's like, you know, it's like right down the alley about what Phil Western was a huge Detroit guy who's always playing stuff like that. I mean, I think when I was touring with Skinny Puppy, he played me Claude Young every night, and I was like thinking like, oh, okay, this is completely different, but I loved it. So Lakar, I mean, it seems like, but first of all, you started a record label before you started a band. Is that true?
yeah. So what happened was in 1992, I just was graduating from CCS, and I had decided that I was going to try music for a few years, because I had been doing that since, you know, my first band was like 1986 and like 15 years old.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm going to give this a couple years, and then if not, I'll focus on the painting. And I went to a party in the suburbs in Ann Arbor, for those who know. And I was that obnoxious kid that was like trying to meet anybody and just talk about like music and all this. And suddenly I end up meeting this guy. I cannot remember his name, but a guy from the Final Cut. And I'm like, hey, would you listen to my demo? Like, I'm literally that kid. That's like, and he's like, yeah, actually, I'm kind of into it. This party's kind of stupid. So we went and sat in my truck, didn't know each other, played my demos. And he said, well, because I told him it was industrial. And he goes, this isn't industrial. And I go, oh, yeah, what is it? And he goes, it's techno. And I literally, 92, I go, well, what's techno? And he's like, well, you know, and I'm like, yeah, but where do I hear it? Where do I, you know, because there was no internet and everything. And he was like, listen to this Sunday night to Alan Oldham's show, Fast Forward. And that literally was one of those moments that changed my life. And it's funny because I know Final Cut toured with Thrill Kill, who we've been touring with. I know that members of your band has collaborated with.
I believe
Final
so,
Cut.
yes.
Yeah, so it's a funny thing but one of the things that we find very funny is that we have been through every genre. Like about every 3 years, we're considered a different genre.
Yeah.
And it's funny that back then I said I was industrial, and then it was like never said again. And then now, like, we're touring with Thrill Kill and this, and then people are saying, oh, you're industrial. And we're like, oh, it's all in there. You know, it's all in there. Just. Well,
one thing I really appreciate about your sound is that you've stuck to your guns, and, you seemingly like just crafting in with the same sort of like classic ingredients, which I believe I'm detecting, as you kind of hinted at. Well, we'll get into gear in a second, but
yeah. So then that really changed my hearing all that new music. It's that moment in, I think, so many musicians' lives where you're just blown away. You can't stop listening to it. I still have cassettes that I recorded of Fast Forward with Alan Oldham. And then I started sending demos out. And in 95, I was supposed to be on Richard James' Aphex Twins label Reflex in 95. And
wow.
as a young man, I thought they were dicking me around because it was like 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Like, where's the contract? Where's the contract? And so I got tired of waiting because, when you're young, you think that 6 months is a long time for how long you've been on the planet.
Yeah. Especially back then.
Yeah. And so I started my own label with my own solo, the solo stuff that I had sent to Reflex.
Was that the Lacar stuff, or was it stuff before Lacar?
No, it was my own stuff called Artificial Material.
Artificial Material.
So it's
wow, does that website still work?
That website still works. Wow. So yeah, that's the very first thing that I had sent to Richard. And
it's funny. I don't know, like if I guess Richard Devine was. I don't know if he made it up. Was that Warp, or which label was
Warp? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think I can only think of one other American artist that's made it. I'll say made it under Warp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there any other ones? I don't know. But so did they ever get back to you?
What? Well, I kind of pissed them off because I was just like, I'm tired of waiting. You said you were going to fax me a contract, and yeah, it was a stupid thing in my youth, but I started my own label.
It probably isn't stupid. I mean, you got a label, and what I like is that you focused on making like limited edition stuff and vinyl and being super crafty with it too. So, I mean, it's obviously an extension of art and everything, and then you can build that up. And then also it's super collectible down the road. I guess people like that too.
Yeah. I mean, so we, the way Lacar started is the first record was myself, Artificial Material. The second record was an artist named Ian Clark, and it was under the name Lessening Lesson. And then it was hard, as anybody starting out in the music business, there wasn't a lot of like, you're the best. And suddenly I get a call from a label in Vienna that was an art label called Sabotage. And they were like, we want to have something from Ersatz Audio, our label, or my label, come play in Vienna and a couple other cities. And I said, well, which artist? And they said, we don't care. And I said, well, I'm an honest guy. I'm like, I don't want to take away, like I had 3 different artists on the label at the time. And he was like, I really don't care. So I went to Ian and I said, look, because Ian lived in town, the other artist was in Ohio. And I said, I don't know what to do here. I've been offered this. Why don't we collaborate? And that's how Lacar started.
Oh, that's a good story. You got to go to Europe then as well.
Yeah, first time. Played in Linz, Austria.
Hold on, at Posthof?
What?
At a place called Posthof?
No, we played in the subway station where the trains go at the end of the night. Like, the trams. So,
right.
In Europe, there's more money for art. Yeah. So this Sabotage label got a grant to not take over, but work with the tram system. And so everyone would buy a ticket on the tram. There would be a DJ on every tram. Oh. Then as the trams came in to park for the end of the night, there was a huge party going on in the tram depot at the end of the night. And it was like Doppler effect from Detroit, Ectomorph from Detroit, Marco Passarani from Italy,
classic
Private Lightning 6, like people we're still friends with today.
Yeah.
And it was like our first show. So,
and it's kind of important to point out at that time that this type of music was pretty underground.
It was very underground.
Very
yeah.
underground.
I mean, you had to find a ticket to get on the tram was like a job, you know. Call this number between these hours, that kind of fun. And then that led into meeting Nicola, and then we did that 12-inch.
Hey, I happen to really like this record a lot.
Oh, thanks.
Fluorescent lights and you see what I really like about it is the massive amount of vocal effecting that you got going on it.
And I think Nicola was still finding herself.
Yeah, I was not interested in being a
perfect
singer.
Sort of I'll say with effects or without effects voice, so you sound great both ways.
Oh, thank you.
Like with effects, it kind of brings on that whole sort of like throbbing gristle. I don't know what it is. But if I had heard Elect Records, this Plasmaco Modern Romantics Private Conversation, I would have again been like, damn, that Detroit. Who are these people? And so here I am talking to you guys. Okay, well, it's great to see that this quickly developed into adult with your first 12. What is it? The first 12-inch Dispassionate Furniture.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell the story of how we?
What?
Basically, my
yeah.
Le Car was starting to get popular enough that you could tour and play shows and stuff, and my solo stuff, Artificial Material, was not. And I got a phone call from a label called Studio K7 in Germany, and they were like, hey, we want you to be on this compilation, but to be on the compilation you have to agree to tour, like do 4 shows in Germany to promote this compilation.
Wow.
of like new electro. And I thought, I literally said something like Le Car, and they were like, no, Artificial Material. And I was like, that thing you do when you're young and you just like, you act like that's what you thought they were going to say, but it was not at all what I thought they were going to say. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, wait, I don't want to go to Europe by myself. This is going to be really boring. And so I covered up the phone. We were just sitting together. And
yeah, I was
this is back when your phone rang.
Like, yeah, this is when you would get a phone call, not like a text or an email.
And I said, hey, Nicola, can you do music? I think we've been dating, what, a year?
I don't even, I don't even know we've been dating that long.
And she goes,
yeah, well, Adam was like, can you play music? Do you want to play music? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I took like 8 years of piano. I mean, but.
And so I was like, can you sing? And you were like, I don't know. And I said, do you want to go to Germany? And
that was a definite yes.
Except it had to be in the summer because she was still in college.
Yeah, still in college.
And luckily the label was like, this will be a summer, like 4 dates in July. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, my solo project would love to come, but it takes 2 people to perform it live. And they were like, okay, we'll send 2 tickets. And that's how we started.
Yeah. And that's how that Plasmaco record came about, is because suddenly we had to make like a live set. And so we had like some material, and that record label Electrocord is who we also toured. We toured with those guys in Germany.
That ran that label.
That's how it started. And then we were like, we got back and we were like, well, I mean, maybe we should make another record. Like, that was kind of fun. So we decided that Plasmaco wasn't really like fitting. I don't even know how we came up with adult, but it was just like more utilitarian, we felt. And so
my favorite question from young journalists is, did you pick adult because it was hard to find on Google? and we say there was no Google.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Because there wasn't. It was a year before Google, so people were like, what?
It's a pretty bad band name to have.
Yeah, well, download could be as bad.
Yeah.
So I definitely know about that, but it seemed that along the way, you guys got real busy real quick. I mean, it's great when you have a label that's going to start supporting you and saying you have to come tour if you're going to make this album. Is that what really got you out, or do you guys have the fire burning as well?
We were the label.
No, but the
I mean, we were making
but the
our
compilation we did was a German label, and that just made it just gave us the start.
Right.
And then we had already, Nicola had started to come in, and her natural tendency is a workaholic like me. And so she would help out with the label, putting stickers on or mailers, and then starting to get more and more involved. And it was very natural, very organic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty classic. I love this thing that I saw here that I have to show, because it kind of shows to me like the whole, you're still remaining crafty.
Yeah.
This is what an artist / musician does.
Yeah, we still do it all ourselves.
And you make everything. You do like things like this. You make your videos. You do your everything you can do. And Adam, you're also a great engineer. I think like your mixes and everything are damn nice, punchy, simple.
Thank you very much.
And
it took me a long time to feel comfortable about that.
We've had a lot of people asking about like your inspiration. What brought on? Because I want to say, okay, I hear like the Normal, Fat Gadget, DAF. Liaisons Dangereuses, but it might be something totally outside of that realm. Let me see if I hit any.
I mean, those are
none of those, Kevin.
No, I love all of those.
Well, I mean,
but
I obviously love Skinny Puppy, and Skinny Puppy's been like a big influence. But I mean, not that you would probably hear that in there. I mean,
your music is like if you, as I said, if you listen to like songs like, as I said, your melodic structure and your funk, Adam, is evident. So it's like, it comes from that minimalist.
I'm the funk killer. I'm the funk killer.
She's the melody,
but
she's the melody.
He is very funky.
I'm the funk, and then she keeps pushing it down. Which actually, I think the more funk is restrained, the better it is.
What about, you never went back as far as, say, Johnson Crew or Hashim or any of the old schoolers, what they call the old school electro families?
I mean, for me, honestly, I was in punk bands in high school in Indiana, and you couldn't find records back then. You had to order them and wait like 3 weeks. And quickly, I found that the punk formula was very boring. Even though I'm not a talented musician, it was still like, can we do something a little different here? And the drummer in these punk bands I was in Indiana was super talented, still is. And so he was on board to like, let's move the barometer, let's get weird. And then one day he was like, I've got some electronic pads. And I was like, oh, I'll bring like a synthesizer, which was literally a Yamaha, like I call them Christmas keyboards, that people get for Christmas. And we were working, and we had something going, and the other two guys came in and they were like, what the fuck is this? And we're like, we're trying to bring in electronics. And they're like, absolutely not. And then they fired me, even though it was my band. And that led to me finding John Foxx's Metamatic at a used store.
Good score.
Yeah.
Which we've been binge watching your interview with John, which is like also cost me a lot of money, because I just ordered his book yesterday while watching. I'm like, what? He has a book?
I know, it's really good too.
I ordered it.
I was so nervous for that chat. I cannot tell you guys.
He came to our.
He has like the best smile, doesn't he?
He came to a show of ours in London right before COVID.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have not played. There it is. There it is. So proud of that.
I must say, that is like, I'm gonna hold him up high. One of my favorite artists to exist today is John.
Absolutely. And how fucking good is all the shit he's doing right now?
Oh God, this stuff.
Continuing.
Yeah.
With this vision.
So good. I mean, I'll play like a John Foxx from the Mask songs for someone who kind of like, didn't keep up with him. And they're like, who's this? And I'm like, keep up. Like, It's so good. Yeah. So
So
when he
good.
came to the show, I was so nervous. And then after this, he wanted,
No, I think
so we had talked about
we'd already done
the
a remix
remix.
exchange
Yeah.
at
We had
that
done a
point.
remix
Yeah, I
exchange
think we'd
before
already done
that.
it.
But we
It
had,
had already happened. But
It always makes you 10 times more nervous if you knew that John Foxx is there before you went on
oh
stage.
God,
oh,
absolutely. There's
So did you find
there's
it after or before?
well, we
no
knew
way
he was
more.
coming. He was on the guest
Like
list. We knew it.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrifying.
So I was terrified, but
Yeah,
it went okay.
yeah, it went all right. He still talked to us after the show, so I thought that was a good sign.
you
Well,
know,
then
when you got John Foxx coming to your gig, take that as a compliment.
yeah, we did. And then we talked about collaborating, and he was going to come fly to Detroit, and then COVID
Yeah.
hit.
Oh, COVID sucks.
Yeah. So
But-
COVID took that away from me.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, maybe as the Earth gets rolling out again, it seems like that could be a possibility. I know you've done an album that featured like bringing people and living with you, Detroit house guests, where you brought in Douglas McCarthy, Michael Gyra, a host of others, and with an experiment there for Mute Records. Man, big up again.
Thanks.
It's like you know.
Yeah, I know that was
Let's call
totally
it winning and
wild.
killing. Well, again, the story of that is super interesting. What was that like to share your house with a bunch of people and to have to sort of open up to every? I gather that some people must have been more particular than others about, hey, Adam, can you turn up the snare? Or
No, they were all particular about that.
I think they were all very particular artists. They're all amazing artists. So that
Yeah.
would make sense that they would be so, all of them in their own ways, be so particular. But I mean, I think the one great thing about that whole, that's funny. There's Michael.
By the way,
He's correcting my lyrics.
no, he's not. You
No,
two
I know.
work
We're collaborating
well
there.
together.
It's very cute.
I tried to make a rhyme while they were working on this at this exact moment.
There's
And
Lord.
they both looked up at me with like shit eyes, like, just shut up. Like, we don't want your opinion.
I know you didn't have Jen on this, but you
No.
guys have also worked on a scoring a film that
Yeah.
has to do with what, Lady J and Jen?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That sounds so interesting, and I definitely want to see this. Where is there? Okay, oh, there's Paul Barker.
Yep.
No,
Paul and
I see a
Mars.
familiar guy there.
there's Marston.
Where I know you guys are super like about performance with your films and stuff like that. But if you wanted to see this film, is it available to watch anywhere?
No.
Well, wait, there's two different. So our film, we're very particular about.
Oh, right.
Your films.
But the
Yes.
film opened by Jake Usna. By the way, Jake Usna's uncle is Brian Usna, who did Society and Reanimator.
Right.
So that's his nephew who made this film that we scored about Lady J and Jen. And this was before Marie. What was it? Marie?
I'm drawing. Yeah.
It was before the Ballad of Lady J.
Yeah.
We don't know really why there's not like a DVD or a streaming. But Jen was a consultant on the film. It was, yeah, that soundtrack hasn't come out yet. You know, anybody out there wants to put it out? We're looking for somebody. It's because it's very different than adult. It's
all
very
like
treated
it was
pianos.
made
and-
on this piano.
Your films, I mean, I want to see this film. Where I guess until now we can just enjoy the short, or are you ever going to release it?
I don't know.
Once again, it's sort of
So, it's like one of those things where it's like we did it. It feels old. Like I feel like it needs for it to be properly released, it probably needs to be like digitized better and color corrected. And when the film is played, we also perform the soundtrack live.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's not
That's
even
great.
like a true proper recording of
so
like
for, I
the
think
soundtrack.
the last,
So it's kind of like yeah.
I think for the last 4 years, we've tried to go into the studio and get final recordings of this stuff so we can release it at least as music. And then we're kind of like junkies for the new. So we like all of a sudden start something, and they're like, oh, hey, let's go this direction.
I got to applaud every direction. And I was reading that you guys like had toured so much and you had really like focused so much on your music that you felt as though you actually had to stop for a while and then focus on these other things. Is that what, I don't know. I mean, I know what that's like to feel like you've seen too much, done too much.
Yeah.
You need some more inspiration. But I really like the idea about how you took what it was in 2013, you guys went out into the woods and put yourself by yourselves in a cabin to create was it forcefully saying, I'm putting myself in an environment here where all I can focus on is the instruments I'm bringing on the table?
Yeah. So that was actually in
2016.
2016.
2016. Gosh.
And we had basically like, we had switched labels. We were on a label called Ghostly International. And we decided we were going to like move to Deus Records. And we really wanted to just sort of fuck up the way we do things. And so, because, it's like in Detroit, it's like our studio is here with us, and it's like everything is at our fingertips. Everything's like, always there. It's always on. We can like work whenever we want. And like, we've made how many albums at that point? Like, we've made so many records here. We just felt like we needed to change the formula. So yeah, we just packed up some gear and we went to our friend's cabin in the middle of, it was like the fucking Shining. And like,
the all important thing to do though.
Yeah. And so we just started writing that way on like their kitchen table. Yeah, you got
That's the way to do it. And then
one more up. It's oh no.
No. Oh,
No.
no. Oh boy.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, by
still
the way,
going.
that Punk House one right there that just went by, that was an art exhibit at the Museum of Contemporary Art Detroit that was curated by Carrie Lauren from Destroy All Monsters. That was really exciting to be included in that.
And I've noticed that a lot of these are out of print, but are you guys re-releasing these, or are they on Deus now?
Well, the last 3 albums are on Deus.
Yeah, the last.
This is Mute.
Yeah, that's Mute. And I think that's like, as far as maybe even CD, it's pretty much gone.
I mean, we have a lot of releases.
This live album's probably going to be there forever.
I think Jack White show some interest in you and come and say, give me some stuff, or how did that come about?
Well, I mean, we're Detroit.
We all know each other.
We all know each other.
You all know each other.
And
we all respect each other, even if it's not our genre.
Right. I think that's the cool thing about Detroit is like, it's such a music town. And so like, also I think because we just exist in so many genres. So
is this the album you made starting in the woods then?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, going back to the Detroit House Guest record that we did with a lot of different artists, one of the things that was so great about that was learning how other people work.
Yeah.
Oh, bad.
And like intimately, because you're also going to bed and waking up and having breakfast, and we wanted people to see what we go through, where as a couple, we also wake up and we're like, so what do you think about that part in that song last night? And and so everyone became in this immersive Cronenbergian brain of our house. And Douglas said, while we were working on a demo and it wasn't going very well. And Douglas said, well, Nicola has a ethos or whatever,
a policy
that if you don't get a demo in 3 days, move on. And we were like, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we'll beat a song to death, like we're going to make it work. And
and you always know it's going to suck if you beat a horse.
If you just try to like work it, like it's either good. And that's what I loved, even like not trying to talk too much about your John Foxx interview, but like, I loved, what was the song when he was like, it took us like 40 minutes to write. And he was like, I always questioned it.
Oh, My Sex.
Oh yeah, My Sex. And
I know.
He's like, I never trusted it.
Pen that on the bus.
But that's the thing when like sometimes those are actually the most magical and
Yes.
best songs when they come together so quick you just can't even believe it's happening.
But so this behavior that was just there on the screen, so that's the one we went to a cabin in the woods. We wrote 23 demos in 2 days. Like each demo.
No.
Oh, come on.
Each
I had the
demo.
idea you guys were there for a month or two.
No,
2
never
days.
that long. No.
Each demo.
Oh, no, he's saying each demo had to take 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's saying like it had like a restriction.
And you had breaks.
Okay, I get it.
And this, but 2 to 3 days, do like 5, take a break.
Yeah.
And then that's how that record was made. But it was funny watching the John Foxx interview with you the other day, where he said, there's nothing worse than trying to get a piece of gear to sync with another piece of gear while you're trying to be inspired. And so one of the reasons we went to this cabin in the woods was to only take 5 pieces of gear that were newer and were all synced together easily with MIDI. And it was like
to work fast
because our studio's got quite old equipment. It's got things that are breaking all the time.
It's bratty sometimes.
But the demo
But it
process
sounds good. Okay, I love the video for Violent Shakes and Silent Exchange. Awesome work.
Thank you.
Again, but I think we've talked a fair amount about what gear you took to the woods, but we haven't been specific. And so you want to talk little bit about gear?
Sure. Absolutely.
I'm going to guess again a little bit. Okay, well, I find it interesting that you were, in the punk realm, and then somehow you wind up in the electronic realm, but with the equipment that I would think in Detroit, an 808 might have been hard to come by back then.
No, they were pretty cheap.
Yeah. And so you got it at the cheap era. That's classic. So I hear an 808. Am I right?
Oh, it's definitely there.
Wait, is this like a game show?
Yep.
Does it be like a ding, 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 ding?
You trigger out of the 808?
Not that much. It's
oh, really?
You got it.
It's MIDI retrofitted.
MIDI.
Okay, MIDI retrofitted. There you go, folks.
We will individual output a ton to the syncussions we have.
You see these 3 trigger outs here?
Yeah, the Kraftwerk.
Yeah, so they just send a click out based on whatever number they're on here assigned with that thing. And that is like, if you use like the sequencer on the Pro 1 and you hit that record, put in 6 notes or whatever, it will advance the note each time it receives one of those gates. So it's basically the formula about how we wrote everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you were doing that as well. But okay, I hear the Pro 1, the classic Pro 1.
Absolutely. Have a fun little story about the Pro 1, also bittersweet. We were friends with Dave Smith.
Dave.
Dave came to our show in San Francisco 2 weeks before he passed away. And the next week he was coming to Movement, the big techno festival in Detroit. And him and Denise we were gonna have lunch one day. So that was really hard to take, his passing. But he and Denise came up to our studio one day and he goes, "Whoa, the Pro 1." He goes, "Is that still working?" And I said, "Well, other than your J hooks." And he goes, "Shut up."
Classic.
Then he gave me one of the best compliments of because we both write the music together, but I'm definitely
You're the tech.
I'm the tech head. I'm the IT department.
Yeah.
And mostly I enjoy it. And
Can I put that in writing? Can we document that today?
Mostly I enjoy
We're
it.
going to document that today.
And so he came up to the studio and he said, "How does everything sync together?" And there's quite a few machines up there because we collected back when everything was cheap. And I said, "Well, just the main computer's the master and everything's slaved either through MIDI or through, MIDI to cEvin conversion." And he goes, "Wow, that's impressive." And I go, "Did the guy that co-invented MIDI literally just tell me that my studio is synced in an impressive way?" And
I think.
He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "How'd you figure it out?" And I go, "I went to this is a true story. I went to the library and checked out books on MIDI." And he goes, "There's books on MIDI?"
That's incredible. I mean, doesn't it even have something to do with the name of the MIDI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was him and the guy from Roland, right?
Yeah.
Was it Roland? Okay. Yeah.
Something to do with that time era. But like, I think when you get into the world of DIN sync, that's probably what you're talking about. I think that, Sequential never made anything that was DIN sync friendly. So he's probably wondering like what you meant. I mean, I'm sure he knows about it, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, we've got like a Kitten Pro 2000 that DIN sync converts, etc.
What do I hear any of these?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
did you
just get the we did just recently acquire the 303, and that guy we've had two of those for quite a long time.
It's a huge part of adult and Lacar's sound.
Huge.
Blow my mind, why don't you? Because this is exactly the same thing that I also loved and use on everything. And then as well, not only that, I'm building a remake of this.
Right, we saw that. It's already sold out.
It's already sold out. It is.
There'll be more coming, hopefully, but I'll keep
good
posted. But it blows me away that you guys have two. You know how much they're worth now?
Do you know how much we got
do you know how much we paid? Right, like $40 a piece.
Score. They're worth like $3,000 if it still works right now.
But what's so great about these things is that just adds like so much chance into what you're doing. It's just like, and it's just like it's almost like when you're doing like a sequencer and you can just like change the knob ever so slightly and you get a different pattern. Like same thing with this. It's like just the slightest movement of the slider and like
the yellow foam.
You're just like in a different. It's really it just adds like it's great.
So I also was noticing that some of your snare accents and stuff like that seem to be using the classic syncussion doubling an 808 snare or something like that. That's at least what I hope I'm hearing. But look at this rig. You've got a rig here. What's going on in this rig?
That's the latest.
Where the hell are we?
That's Atlanta.
I see pads.
Yeah. So in during COVID, it was a rough time for us. Nicola's father passed away from cancer, and we were the hospice caregivers.
So sorry, Nicole.
It was really hard to get. You already had COVID, which canceled our album and our tour, and then you go through something so intense like that. So I was like, I'm gonna take this time to like see if I can just like, I'm not naturally musical. My ear maybe
you think you're not.
Yeah. But I decided, I like to tour, but I would like to have fun on stage. So I was like, how can I change up just my part of, because we write
the hardest thing with being just like a duo. It's not like we have a band behind us. Like, Adam's doing all the music.
You want to do something up there.
You want to be keeping it live and feeling like you're
some live drums and stuff.
Yeah, but it's hard,
Yeah, so I decided I would try to see if I could do like pad work during during COVID, and then that informed the new album Becoming Undone, and then it actually, other than the first here's a funny story. Maybe Justin Bennett is listening right now.
Of course,
but Justin and I.
Hello, Justin.
Hi, is he there? But when we first got the offer to tour with Kill Kult last year, I said no to Nicola, and she said why, and I said, I'm not going to hit these pads with such a great drummer as Justin.
Adam's like, I'm going to seem like such a wimp compared to Justin.
Look so bad.
You'll be happy to know, Adam, that when I first got to touring again with Justin, when we did that, he was saying that you guys were his favorite new band, and I had to check you out. So that's how I heard about you. It was from Justin.
He's
great.
Big up to what you did.
Fucking amazing guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We celebrated New Year's over Zoom.
Oh yeah, we saw him on New Year's via Zoom.
Did you guys go? Oh yeah, on Zoom. Okay, you can be anywhere in the world on Zoom.
It's right. It's a great thing.
So you use two microphones here. What you got going on there?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it's just a DIY thing, so I don't have to deal with the sound engineer.
So one's got effects and one doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
And then I can like throughout the set, like the second mic has like various, delays. Like, so I change them throughout the set to
Right.
whatever is like, appropriate for the song. And it gives me something to do.
What type of effects units you guys using?
We're just using, what are they? The little the Boss.
The little Red Boss VE20.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nothing terribly fancy, but it works. I mean,
that's how you do it though.
It's like survive like a flooded stage. And I mean, these things have been beat to shit and they still like.
Hold on, I see the ass master there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
What?
I see some
some
Mooger Foogers.
Yeah, the pop from Paul.
Oh,
the bass.
Foogers, but there's also some
those Mooger Foogers are amazing.
Josh.
So this actually, this
big
photo.
up Josh and Paul.
What's that?
What was that? I said big up Josh and Paul.
Josh and Paul. Yep.
Really
good guys.
But look at this. You got a collection going there. Is that your vocal chain back there?
You talking about the toilet paper roll?
That's a very expensive roll of toilet paper.
Is it?
That's because like audio companies don't cater to ladies. Look at that. That's what I got to do to make my headphones fit.
That makes perfect sense, though. But
I mean,
Adam, go ahead.
I got a big nose. That's not the problem, but I could just use.
You can see it's definitely like not lady size for sure. But I don't know about you, but Adam, I can't fit into any hat that exists on the earth except for a size 8.
Well, look at.
I can't wear any hats.
He can't wear a hat.
Yeah, he's got too much.
He has a hat.
That would mess up my bump.
His head actually goes up that high, though.
Yeah, he doesn't need any toilet paper rolls in his headphones, and like that already.
But I think we're trying to say, like, Adam, what is it that you carry live in your setup now that you've had the time to work on it and want to dispel like what's in your rig?
You got the thing, the Chaos Pad. That's the newest, greatest thing. Because what were we listening to? What podcast?
So I think it's interesting. Like, we all work all the time and we're, here you are last tour and you're still working doing these. It's not a podcast. What do you call these? Sunday live chat.
But you've got to like,
you're working, we're working. But so I was listening to a podcast with.
It's research, finding time to learn new things. Finding time to learn new things is difficult.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have to, especially when you've been collecting your gear for as long as you have. But what is this unit right here?
Okay, so that's the Roland SPD SX.
Okay.
The 9 drum heads, and then those are 2 cat drum pads, which are for sale right now on my Reverb.
There you go.
He's switched to Roland drum pads.
I switched to Roland drum pads, not because these are bad, but they're a little smaller and lighter, which with travel, everything counts.
Every ounce.
And so that became the main thing that I do live. But I also was listening to a podcast with Stephen Malander from Cab Voltaire on, I think it was Martin Ware's podcast.
Oh, great one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asked the same question you just asked me, like what changed with your gear on stage?
Yeah, like how do you keep it interesting?
Yeah.
And he said, I got to say these Chaos pads from
Kult, oh yeah, for sure,
are so fun on stage. And I was like,
they add life to anything.
If Steven says it, I'm doing it. And so I now own 3.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I actually wrote him a message and was like, thank you for your podcast, because we're on the same label now. And I was like, thank you for that. And I love it. I mean, how there are songs from decades ago that are fun to play, and there's songs that aren't that fun to play unless you can get the right gear and figure out how to make it
Exactly.
fun for yourself.
Oh, just
so
punch
now-
me in the face. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you know. Because also, like, when you, I mean, I would imagine you have this and we have it as well. Like, a lot of times when you're in the studio, you're not thinking about how this is going to translate live. You're just like going with it. You're like, the machines at some point are dominating you. Like, the song is like, you're like, no, this isn't the way the song was supposed to go. And suddenly the song is just taking you the way it wants to go. And you're not thinking about, like, we're never going to be able to fucking play this live. Right.
Exactly.
And so after your record comes out, you have to figure out how to transcribe the whole fucking thing into a live show, which is like really difficult. I mean, I don't like, he does most of the hard work.
I mean, we write together, but
yeah.
then I do the stage
Yeah.
musicality.
And you guys are stirring up a storm because everyone's talking about you. So it's not like nothing's happening. Maybe it's just you got a good combination with Thrill Kill Kult and these guys.
I mean, they are amazing. And and as you know, like, because you've got like Toby travels with you. Toby's great. Like,
Toby. Yeah. Toby, what's his last name again? Toby
Tackett. Toby Tackett.
Toby Tackett.
Yeah. I mean, they've just got like Mars, you like,
just roll in.
Mars and Frankie are great. Mimi, Justin, and then Carter's on the tour. Toby's on the tour. It's just like, it's a good look at them.
Nicola took that photo.
It's just such a good group of people. And my God, like, listening to them sound check every day is like, oh, it's so good. You don't get tired of it. You don't get tired. Like, it just every day is like, it's a pleasure.
I know they're looking forward to it as well. Yeah. So, you know, I know you guys are going to have fun, and that's coming up.
Yeah.
The last leg.
Look at this. Go get your tickets right now, folks. We call it the final show. I said, is this the final show? And Justin said, no.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think they're just
of the evil
of this.
Of doing 87 to 97.
With us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Of doing that set. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got adult period, Kanga, some with and without Kanga, I guess. But there you go. There's the list all the way from St. Louis. All the way to Tucson. Why is there no LA date? I want to come see it.
We already did LA.
Yeah, I saw it was a Deus 15-year anniversary.
No. This already came through LA.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
I think you were on tour.
Yeah, you were on tour.
I think. Well, no, I don't know if I was, because Justin would have been with Thrill Kill. But like, true. I know I wasn't able to attend said show.
It was at
for some reason.
Terragram
Ballroom, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. But you guys are also booked on. This has to be one of the most killer bills I've ever seen in my life.
Isn't that weird? It's so weird.
Man, you know what sucks is that Rihanna and I will be in Japan, so we can't make it to this. But I would be there in an instant. I was so disappointed when typical that it turned out to be in the same time. But
you also live in LA where everything happens and comes through. So
not like this. This is a show like look at Heaven 17. I mean, I would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys saw that last round or heard about it, but that last round Heaven 17 did was just magical from what I heard from friends.
Oh.
And I'd love to see Soft Cell. I've never seen Soft Cell, so I don't know. It's just a win on all. You guys are on it. I love how they throw some modern bands on there, but you know what? Why that is because the modern bands they deem as good bands.
Nice.
Of course.
You guys have played like in Peru and all over the place. What's been the highlights of your touring career? Where do you like to go play most?
Oh man. I mean, Detroit is always good. Mexico City's great. Fucking love Mexico City.
That's our favorite, but my favorite.
Yeah.
Really?
Mexico City. Yeah.
And what is it that you love the most about it? The reaction from the crowd, just because they go bananas?
They get pretty wild.
They do,
don't they?
But it's not like fandom wild. Like, sometimes
energy.
like big cities can just kind of be like, oh, because you're
No,
like, oh,
that's actually from Mexico City.
There you go. That's a good answer right there. Why Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see Nicola hates crowd
I hate
surfing.
crowd surfing
and
so much.
They picked her up so fast, and all of a sudden she was just like, whoop.
That was the last song of the set, and I lost my not my in-ears, but my pack fell out of my pants.
My God.
Which is, a big expense. And so after everyone cleared out, I like went to security and I was like, fuck.
Well, also we were playing
it.
But we were playing on the rim of a pool, an empty pool, skate pool.
Yeah,
so it was concrete.
Yeah, it was all like a
so we were like, that thing's broken.
Pool. Yeah, we were like, it's gonna
Have you ever noticed
to bits?
The gigs in Mexico sometimes there's some dangerous factors about venues.
Yeah, well, you're gonna show Bogota coming up.
Yeah, now what was Bogota like?
This one was similar to what it's like touring, but we played Bogota in 2008, 2007.
2007, I think we played Bogota,
and our booking agent at the time was like, you have an offer for Bogota, but we don't know the promoters. No one from America's ever played there on our roster. Like, you can do it if you want, but it's really rough. And we were like, we're from Detroit. Like, I'm not really worried. And still to this day, we'll run into people across the globe that were at our first Bogota show that were like, I can't believe you came. But there was this huge fight Nicola had with security when the show started.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like, our first show in Bogota, we were playing at an abandoned putt-putt, like a mini putt-putt golf course.
Oh my God.
Like up in the mountains. It was totally weird. We're playing like in an old like a recreational center. And so they put us on like this little stage that was probably like, 2-3 feet high. And like, it wasn't small, but it was very long. And they must have had like 15.
They had like what, 600 people?
Yeah, it was probably like 600 people in this like weird rec center, and like security all across the front of this weird little stage. But like, because of the height of the stage and the security, I was like literally like singing over the security people's heads. And I was like, no, this is like, I'm not gonna play the whole show with a security fence of people. You know what I mean? It was, like singing to like security people's heads. So I got in a fight with this head lady of security
through a translator, which is really funny to watch.
Because I was like, this isn't working. Like, I can't have, like, this is like not working with the audience. Like, I can't do the performance. And she got so pissed off at me that they just all left. Like, for the rest of the night, there was no security.
Wow.
And basically, like,
but wait, you need to preface
before like when they were getting the venue, like pre-show setup of the venue, they were hanging all these like sheets in the glass windows, and we were like, well, that's weird. And like Adam went to the promoter and he was like, why are you hanging sheets in front of these windows, but not like the windows behind us? And the promoter was like, well, I don't want to freak you out, but like the rival promoter has been known to like shoot into our parties.
Oh my God.
So he's like, if we block the windows, they can't actually shoot. They don't know what they're shooting at.
Oh, wow.
And then I said, well, why aren't they behind us? And he goes, well, because the shots come from that mountain range over there, not that mountain range.
Anyway, that was our introduction to Bogota. I mean, but Bogota is like really fun. It's a great city, but I don't know, like, have you played him?
I've never been down there.
And so Bogota is 8,500 feet elevation.
Wow.
So it just is like a fucking terrible show to play. Because if you're bad with elevate, I mean, Mexico City is already like, I think 7,000. Yeah. Which is like kind of a rough show to play, but like when you're moving, or I think like when we played House of Vans in Mexico City, like Circle Jerks had played the week before us, and they said that like they had to bring in oxygen tanks, like for
the bass player,
because it's like it's rough. Like people don't get it.
Yeah, even Ogre gets oxygen tanks when we play Denver. So I mean, I can't imagine.
Denver's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Denver's tough. People don't understand like what you're going through with like as a performer in those elevations.
Yeah. Speaking of your performance, I know there's a super interesting part of your show that involves tape and the sound that comes from, I guess can you explain like what you're doing or how?
Yeah, so I don't even know how did this come about? I don't even know.
You got obsessed with contact mics
Yeah,
about 2 years ago, and you've been experimenting, and suddenly something worked.
yeah,
Contact mics rule.
yeah, they do. They
They
do.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
I think what I got obsessed with was like miking them in like big vases, like pottery. And then
Right.
I kind of thought like it as a live aspect, like for us, like how can I make that work? And I started watching like tons of videos on contact mics and like seeing what other people were using. I actually never saw anybody do this. I'm sure somebody's done
I've
it.
never seen anybody do it.
But it kind of like what we're running it through. Adam's controlling it. We're running it through a Foger analog delay,
Nice.
which also really richens it up. But I mean, playing the tape, it's kind of like a theremin in some regards.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away. If you want to hear what this sounds like, you guys got to go see them. I will say that it sounds quite amazing.
Yeah.
And you have to hear it. So
yeah, it's fun. I mean, it also just adds like I don't know, like
theatrical element.
Engages with the audience like straight away. People are constantly like, what the fuck is she doing? I think when we were doing our sound check in Portland at what was it, Crystal Ballroom?
Oh yeah.
Like they've got videos on the stage. And so like during our sound check, I guess like all the guys down in production were like, what the hell is that crazy lady doing with the packing tape? Like they were like kind of laughing at me. And then when the sound was brought up, I think they were all like, they kind of got schooled. They were like, they all came out of the production office and they were like, what the hell? Like, because it makes a really incredible sound.
And it looks great too.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I think like, once again, it's, people, I've had a lot of people say, what is that she's doing up there? It's like, well, actually, I don't know either. So I had to investigate.
And she also ordered like 5-6 different tapes because they all sounded different.
Oh, wow.
The packing tape is different too.
So
yeah, it's funny.
And then, that saying from David Bowie where he says, if you're in the right place while you're creating, if you feel like you've walked out into the water and you're on your tiptoes and you just have your nose above the water, sometimes the waves go over your nose and you're like, oh, I'm too deep. He's like, that's the place you need to be. And I remember when Nicola's like, I want to start this tour with this. And I was like, I feel very uncomfortable with this. Like there's no control element. We don't know, we've never done this.
Again, right.
But that's a trust that we do have with 25 years.
It's also that chance, that I think is really hard to get at in electronic music when so much stuff is already like programmed. And in this case, like starting out the set with this tape and the contact mic, I mean, sometimes it works like magically and sometimes it's like it was okay. Yeah. And sometimes it breaks and I'm just like, okay, that was it.
You can never count on it. Well, I'm looking forward to catching you guys live, and a lot of people I'm sure around America are looking forward to this tour. It seems to, I don't know, as COVID seems to get further and further away, I'm getting more and more inspired. How about you guys?
Yeah.
More or less?
More. Oh, for sure. More.
You guys,
so when our European booking agency is called Swamp, and we had a tour booked for what year?
2020.
No, the one that we did.
2022.
22. So the makeup tour was 2022. And it was coming down like to days, like where we're like telling our agent, like, we have to buy plane tickets. Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, I don't know. Nobody knows. Like we get
Yeah.
along really well.
COVID was a hard time
But
for
Yeah.
for bands, you know, like.
But so in Europe, we were one of 2 bands on this huge roster that has Swans and everybody. Like we were one of 2 bands that started touring. And don't forget the war with Ukraine broke out 9 days before we got there.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Yeah.
we're playing, you know, Poland and,
Yeah.
you know, it was crazy. And we played
Budapest.
many venues. It was their first
Yeah.
time opening.
Yeah.
Like we were the first show. And then we got COVID at the end and we couldn't fly home. And it was a huge expense and terribly, but we didn't even know we had it because, you know, tour fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing worse than tour
Same.
fatigue. So you just thought you had tour fatigue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for me, after that, I just was kind of, not to be flippant,
Flippant.
Flippant.
but I just was like, I was just like, I got it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Also,
mental health issues I got to work on here. I got
right.
all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
I haven't really thought much. We've toured quite hard since then.
I felt sick kind of after the last couple shows of Skinny Puppy in LA here. And I said, I'm not going to test until I finish, just in case. Like, you know, I was like, well, imagine if you test and you find out you're positive, then you'll feel even worse. I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
So
a
I'm
hard
just going to
thing.
push through. And then I
Yeah.
tested as soon right after and I was positive.
Interesting.
Two shows
But-
COVID positive.
But it probably also felt a lot like tour fatigue. Like,
It was just, I was sweating more than usual. And it was like, I
so
told
you
our
were
staff,
going through menopause.
yeah, totally. Like just drenching. So I was like, I knew
Ugh.
something was wrong, but that was
Yeah.
really the only symptom.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys were smart the way that you did the VIP photographs and you kept your distance.
Away, yeah.
And, you know, so even if you were, it was only the staff, you know, it was,
Yeah.
you know, that was on stage.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty germ conscious as well in the tour. Like we're kind of germaphobes a little bit. So even when I knew that I wasn't feeling well, I was telling people, hey, stay away. I might have cold or something.
Right. Right.
So nobody else got it except Ogre, ironically. But we think that Paul Barker may have had it too. So it might have been me, Paul, and Ogre. But
But the weird thing with us is when we got it on tour in Europe, we were on tour with a band called Black Plague, friends of ours from Lincoln, Nebraska. And our tour manager, Marco, the last night, our last show in Paris, we all like did
Oh
the
my
like
God.
jump in the bed, like all like
We were-
hugging,
we were,
like
like-
tour's over,
We
you
were
know,
having a tour cuddle puddle
and
celebration.
no one else got it.
None of them got it. That's a weird thing.
yeah, well, I mean, you know, some people who think they have it don't have it. And then you'll be like, I've just got a slight something. And then you test and you have it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I was informed that you guys wanted to talk about public restrooms all day.
Who told you that, Justin?
I don't know
Oh,
where
did
it
I
came
write that?
from. I don't know.
wrote that.
I don't know where it came in from. I'm not too sure. A fan or something. But I really do think that Fools is a fantastic video.
Thank you.
you.
Wow. Thank you.
Is that the most recent video?
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, it's still several years old now, but yes.
2 years.
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
still, I love the colors in it, and at the end when it starts to get really yellow, it's effective.
Thank you. It was
Great
very-
tune though as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't
That's
think, yeah,
that's a big Pro One tune.
it kind of seems like it's, as I said, sticking to the classic ingredients. Yeah, you know, I mean,
That's
if you
Nicola, by the way.
if you love that sound, then you need to go. And I noticed lately you guys are on Bandcamp as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Before the world changed into the new world, you know, we were having to search in record stores for everything that would come out by people. But now, I guess Bandcamp is the new way.
It's great.
Is that your main source about how you recommend people to get your stuff?
I don't know.
Number one, come to the show and
Yeah.
buy it from the merch table.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most one-to-one support.
That
Yeah.
is the best, isn't it?
It is.
Then there's also your
Yeah, I mean,
Big
actually,
Cartel shop.
the big cartel is the best way because Bandcamp still likes to hit you for 10%, and then you get
For sure.
PayPal's 3.2%, whereas big cartel you just pay like $10 a month, and they don't charge you anything after that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying Bandcamp is great, obviously, but they still take a chunk of change from you.
Except
it is
free Fridays.
Except on the free Fridays, which is great. I mean, it's really like a great thing that they've been doing. But
and then so this is the last album that you guys made, 2022, Deus Records.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Becoming Undone. And I gather since then, are you guys working on a new album or what's going on?
Well, you showed that picture with Justin Pearson with the toilet. So we did a split 7-inch with Justin and Luke's band Planet B, which made sense for adult. AB. So that was the last release. Well, actually, no.
Is that the one that has Exalted on it?
No, that's
the Exalted.
The Exaltics is a band from Germany.
Yeah.
I was wondering who they were.
They asked us to do a remix, but the song
was barely anything.
No, it's like three. They only have 3 pieces of gear, I swear.
Yeah. Well, that was right. So it was like, okay, we'll do a remix, but I guess it's more like at this point it's going to be more like a collaboration.
Well, their song was so old they had lost all the parts, so it was only the original song. So we were like, we're only going to be able to take from the bass line in like the first 16 measures, and then we just built on top of that. So at the end, it was considered a collaboration.
Yeah.
I have you guys. I was playing it when you guys came in the dressing room, but Helena Hoff is always like kind of like digging up this old school electro that I guess we all missed at some point during the way and spinning these wicked sets. Mm-hmm. But I would expect that you guys would end up in there.
Yeah. Have we met?
I think
we played a festival together, but we didn't meet. Yeah. I think it was Mogfest.
And then there's the Adult A and Planet B limited edition 7 inches.
Oh yeah, that's the.
How is it that you get those?
I don't know. So yeah, the picture of the toilets, that was us with Justin Pearson, who was in
so that's
the Locust. Yeah.
Where's he from?
He's San Diego. He's got
is a record from the Locust? Oh, I didn't know he was from the Locust. Okay.
Yeah. He's like
absolutely classic.
Totally classic, amazing person.
Now I know where I place that face.
Yeah.
But we have a real to do a to do a collaboration. We like for remixes for us, collaborations, like we go all in. Like I know some bands that are like, oh, it's just a remix, I'll phone it in. And we're not like that. Like we have to like embody the song, then deconstruct it, then build it back up, and then, really find what we want to do. And so when Justin was like, hey, can we collaborate? We were like, yeah, but we want it to be a 1-to-1.
It's got to be like, send us one line.
One line.
I mean, I'm not joking.
We're not,
like one thing.
It can't be hi-hat and rim. It's got to be just hi-hat. Then we'll send you back a rim shot, and then we'll do, bass line, a vocal bit, this, that, and that's how we wrote that whole 7-inch, which took forever.
It does take, I mean, that's like,
but it was legitimately almost like being in the same studio. But it took 2 years?
It took fucking forever.
For a 7-inch?
I mean, that was like the beautiful thing about like the Detroit House Guest record, where it's like the person is actually coming and living with you, and we're just like, that is the focus. We're like touring around Detroit, like looking at shit, and we're working on music, and that's it. As opposed to like when you're collaborating, online, it's like, oh, cool, this is like a cool drum beat, and then you get like emails come in, or you got to do the dishes, or you got to do the laundry, or you got to scrub the floor. Like life gets in the way of like the collaboration. And also there's something to be said about just being in the room with the person, which is like a beautiful thing, right? It's like,
well, I guess sometimes, I mean, it depends on I mean, did everybody all work out fantastic that they didn't wake up and they were grouchy or something like that?
I mean, we did have to every morning when Michael was with us, Michael Giroux from Swans, we did have to listen to what was his album? The Seer?
No, the Glowing Man.
The Glowing Man every morning.
Oh, wow.
Because he was in the middle of like getting that album mastered. So there's a little cat there. What's his name?
Tiger.
Tiger.
Tiger
Aw,
Lily.
Tiger
Tiger.
Lily.
Oh,
Very cute.
John Foxx.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that was so weird. One of his first bands was Tiger Lily, and I'm thinking, that's weird. That's the name of my cat. How small world is that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with Michael, every morning we would like he'd be like, come down. He'd be like, can we go to the studio and listen to the Glowing Man before we start? And so every morning we would like listen to the Glowing Man at like full
10 in the morning, full volume.
Oh, he listens that loud. I mean, Swans are notorious for how loud they are. But he listens that loud too?
Oh,
he has
yeah.
a very big hearing problem.
That would explain it.
Yeah.
And so literally one time I had it at Uniform Gain and it's, into the yellow, and he comes up and he just takes the master sliders and he puts them all the way up. And I run over and I slap it down and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "You don't blow the system before we get to write a song together."
It's like 10 in the morning.
But he had never heard it. So the masters came in on his flight to Detroit.
Yeah. So
then he was like, "Can we listen to this?" And we're like, "No."
He was
in the
very,
morning,
like eager every morning.
It's a 2.5 hour album.
An epic.
Oh, wow,
I mean,
man,
it's a
that's
beautiful
challenging.
album, but
You would start your morning with 2.5 hours of Glowing Man, which
yeah, it's great.
we love Swans, of course, but you would then like try to be inspired to start something new. Like, okay, here's this.
But then I was going to say, then you've got like the opposite side of things where like Dorit Chrysler, who is a theremin player, every morning she would be like with her door closed in her bedroom because she liked to take her theremin into her bedroom.
She asked for an amp.
She wanted an amp in her bedroom. And so she would start out every morning like playing fucking Satie
on the
theremin before she would even come out of her room. And you're just like, oh my God, this is heavenly. Like I'm being serenaded in my house with like theremin Satie. Like how amazing is that?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. Was that the girl in the picture that we looked at a little earlier?
I don't know.
I saw a girl with a white theremin.
That's probably her. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blonde.
I also like the look of the stage that you guys kind of had in this picture. Here, I'll find it. It takes me a second to find it here. I like the look of the setup and sort of like the aesthetic, you might want to say. It's like a set. It's got a living room.
This was rehearsals for performing with. So Dorit is from Austria, and she got asked to curate a week of music at the Austrian. What is it called? The Austrian Cultural Forum in New York City.
Yeah.
And so she asked us to be a part of that. And so we wrote a piece together called "I'm Thinking About These Lamps."
Yeah. So it's not in there. So we had like 3 lamps in the piece. We all wore these horrible tan outfits that my mom and I like made. Like we sewed them. I hate sewing, but
I didn't have a picture of that, fortunately.
That's probably maybe a good thing. But anyway, but yeah, I played a contact vacuum cleaner. So I vacuumed, those 2 played. And then in the end of the piece, I took the contact mic off my vacuum cleaner because I had a Mogerfoger cluster flux on my vacuum cleaner. And then I put the contact mic on a lamp and then I played the lamp. So that was a lot of fun.
Actually, hold on a sec here. There's pictures of this on this page.
Probably
right
exists
here.
somewhere, but oh yeah.
Let's see if it will load. Hello? Oh, there. Well, maybe it will load.
Oh yeah, and I vacuumed blindfolded. So that was interesting.
That'll always add an element of suspense.
Right. I mean, again, adding the chance.
I don't know why it's taking so long to load, but yeah, no, I love the set.
Yeah.
And then so did it. I'm imagining it also sounded with vacuum theremin and what you got going on here, Adam. This has sounded also pretty cool. Is this released, the recordings of this?
No,
See,
we have a recording of it, but
there's that lamp. It was great. I put all these like rings on my hand. And so because the lamp has so many like knobs on it, you get a great sound on the lamp.
And a personal I don't know what you would, there's a concussion up there.
Oh, yeah,
look.
But
and those mothers, which are a bitch.
It was really amazing that so Suzanne Ciani was a part of this, and so she it was just an amazing moment with me and Suzanne wanting to know what I was doing on stage. Like, she came up and I got to show her what was going on with the rig, and I couldn't, it was pretty amazing.
How much do you have to hold back when you're touring with adult not to bring like more theatrics like you guys are capable of?
I think it's like, it's very when we're adult, it's like, I think because like for me, I've never wanted to put that performative aspect into it, because it's already hard enough for me to be a front person.
Right.
Like, and also I think it's just like my punk ethos, I don't know how to say that, is so just like what you see. Like, I've always been like, what you see is what you get, like in our performance. But like, and that, I think that's what's nice about having the Kupris and Miller stuff. It's like, okay, now that can be the outlet for maybe more fun or experimentation in that regard of like a different persona, so to speak. Where I feel like adult is very much just like, this is who we are, like.
Yeah.
I really loved how John Foxx said on your show, how he was like, or I should say how Dennis Lee said,
Yeah,
I had to come up with John Foxx to be comfortable on stage,
Yeah, right. I mean, I always thought it was interesting too that he was witness to two giant evolutions of music, basically standing there. He was at like seeing the birth of punk, witnessing that, and then before that, the whole witnessing, which I actually kind of sadly learned about after that, he had been at the Retinal Circus, the famous old school LSD era with Pink Floyd, and he was saying in another thing that he was, there was the guys from the Beatles walking around and Lennon and McCartney, and it was all this. Just to be, witness to all these grand evolutions in music, and then to also like, when Ultravox was first around, and then he had that evolution vision. Obviously, he had a vision about what Cold Wave really was, and brought it on with Metamatic, and it's sort of ever since. But you see that vision coming on so strong. I swear, John Foxx is like has to be an alien.
I know. I mean, he not only witnessed two. What'd you say? Avalanches or
just evolutionary.
And then he created one.
Yeah.
And he created one.
And then he created one.
Yeah, it was quite an honor, and I still like to this day. I just like, oh man. So I was most nervous for that one, and then the Stephen Mallender one was also quite nervous about too.
I haven't watched that one yet, so.
That was also nervous, even though I'd met Stephen before. I had never met John, but.
Which is also funny to hear you say that you're like nervous for those things, because I think like you're just such a hero, and like you've just like done. There's so much inspiration in all the work you've done. It's just like, it's huge. I mean, it's huge, and the fact like also again like that you're still fucking shredding it.
I like to stay like I'm always the artist I always admired most is the way I like to fashion myself, and that is to just remain modest as I can, and like try and just see people for we're all people, and then some people do creative in their own ways and stuff. So instantly when I met you guys in the dressing room in Pittsburgh, I was like, yeah, these are some like-minded individuals here. So I was like very thankful that you come on, and much requested around here as well.
That's cute.
So let's take a couple questions from.
There's questions.
Richard Forrest says, I saw Adel opening for Kill Kult. Amazing. Joe Gonzalez at DJ Virus. Awesome. I have loved Adults since their Anxiety Always CD. Their Doom CD was such a glimpse into the future of the dark wave scene, making sounds that were later revisited by Mount Sims and Boy Harsher. What was their biggest influences musically and vocally? Unless we've touched on it.
For that album or of all time?
Yeah.
Just in general, I think he's Joe basically hit me up last night and he goes, my favorite songs are Blank Eyes, Nosebleed, Glue Your Eyelids Together, and Dispassionate Furniture. Make sure to tell him that.
That's nice.
I would say for songs like that, for me, it's definitely the Screamers.
Screamers are, it's
What?
so,
Yeah.
The Screamers?
Screamers.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me
I
too.
love this to hear about new names I'm going to write down right now.
No, they're old.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
Oh yeah.
I think John had also mentioned a name of a band, right? That I'm not too sure who it was, but I went back and showed a picture of this band that he was obsessed with, this like early band that got him going, and it was crazy. Yeah, so I'm going to look into the Screamers.
The Screamers, they
Screamers
were
are
LA.
big.
They were unfortunately their singer Tomato DePlenty passed away from AIDS in '81, but they never did a proper studio album.
Yeah,
so we do a cover of theirs. It's one of our releases.
Excellent. What's
120,
that song called?
122 Hours of Fear.
You write that down. I'm gonna look
But
that.
I think one thing that's like really interesting is like sometimes people are like, they'll come up to me and they're like, oh, you're so like, you're channeling Susie. It's so cool. And I'm like, that's a huge compliment.
Absolutely, I can see that. But the best Susie is like that Red Light song or something like that.
I know, but sometimes I hate like where it's just like, so it's nice when somebody's like, well, what are your, like, people rarely ask me like, what are your vocal influences? And like, to me, it's like John Lydon, John, like PIL is like a huge Jello Biafra, even though like, obviously like our shit doesn't sound anything like the Dead Kennedys, but it's
Even
like
so.
fun. It's funny. Not like,
But what Nicola can do, like Jello or Lydon, is she can say the same line 16 times in a song, and every 4 times it's delivered completely different.
Right.
And so it becomes a whole new melody. And that's what I think she's really strong at.
Yeah. Joe says he loves your glitchy IDM meets electri beats and vibes. Cheers. And thanks for your question, Joe. Matthew 242. Oh my God, Rock on Detroit. Thank you for putting on a spotlight on these legends. Nicola is amazing live. One of the best live shows of my life was Cold Wave Chicago 2021 with Adult, Barker, and Connolly in front 242. I'd love to know their musical influences. Well, I think we just said that.
Well, I mean, but it goes, yeah. I mean, it's there's so many, but it depends.
It's like our I feel like the rate, it's also why I think we are like, I like to think we're a non-genre, because it's like, and maybe that's to our demise in some regards, as far as actually being like a really big popular band, is that I don't feel like we kind of fit in like a specific genre. Like we're just like, oh, this is like almost like a
genreless.
Yeah, like this is more like a post-punk song, even though I just even fucking hate categories to begin with, because it's also like, I think as an artist, it just becomes like limiting and like, oh, now we have to like fit in, I'm sure you've experienced this through, all the work you've done where you don't want to be labeled.
No, I think like you follow your inspiration without regard to any of that.
Yeah.
So, who cares about that really, right?
Yeah.
And then if people make references to you, then that's a compliment. What things you might be hitting on that may have been affecting you or not. Yeah. Sometimes I'll say, hey man, it sounds like you're really into, the Normal. And they'll be like, I've never heard the Normal. So I love stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love to wake up and listen to Chavela Vargas, which is like totally not our genre at all, but.
What about you, Adam? What's your oddity?
Today I woke up with John Cage.
Okay. That's not too odd though.
Yeah. Into a Landscape. It's just a beautiful song to wake up to. What would be an odd song?
An odd song for
and then you listen to Michael Gyra's new album.
No, Nicola does at full volume.
Adam's always like,
I love Swans, but Nicola, I mean, it's hilarious. It'll be 9 a.m. and she'll put on a Swans record at full volume, and I'm like, Really? Right now?
Sometimes I find like very intense music like very relaxing. Right?
That's good. Yeah. One or the other.
What do you like to listen to in the morning?
That's unusual.
I'm so completely varied that I don't even know myself anymore. Like I just listen to what comes up. Like it'll be like, okay, listen to, there's nothing in specific, like perhaps some forms of dub. I like Alpha Stepa. That's probably the only regular lately, but Larry Kleinke says, sweet, I sold Adam my old Pro One back in 1998.
There he is. Hey.
Yeah, back when I was living in Columbus, Ohio, when we had them out for our New Year's Eve rave later that year. You guys still have the old beast?
We do. Just got it redone, 2 years ago. Got it all bench checked and souped up. And as I said in the interview, Dave Smith saw it and touched it.
Oh yeah, I think we also had Dave Smith sign. Did he sign it? No, you didn't ask him. We got the
we
got the mofo.
A touching's good enough. Maybe you
Yeah.
could spit on it or something too. Thanks for the question, Larry. And yeah, it's still holding up apparently.
Great.
You guys don't tour with the Pro One, do you? Though?
No way.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to take that out.
No.
I tried to for years, and it was just like so many times.
They fall out of tune too easy, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. Oscar, aka Scar, love you guys. Wanted to thank you because that tour you had Spike, Hellas, and Contravoid open for you opened me up to so many new bands. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Thank you. They're friends of ours, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Spike Hellas, I guess, is opening for Front 242 and SF.
There you go. And I've heard they're doing a last tour as well. I've heard they're doing a last tour. I heard Al's going to make a last album. All these last tours. God. Bird Spanker says, amazing. I love adult. Grabbed Resuscitation after reading about it in The Wire and instantly had my mind blown by Lost Love. Been a huge fan ever since, following them as they've evolved. Perhaps there will be a collaboration in the future. Oh, me, you mean?
Oh.
I haven't been invited over yet.
Hey, come on over.
Come on over.
Yeah, doesn't your partner Rihanna? Yeah, isn't she's got some Michigan roots.
She is. She's from Warren, Michigan originally.
Right, I remember you.
Big up Warren.
Come back, stay
there. So maybe she can come re-explore her roots.
Yeah, exactly.
Danny Carey also spends a lot of time in Michigan as well. With his Ryan Stump, the Stump family basically is from there, and he actually set up a studio out there. I don't know if it's supposed to be secret, but I think I just gave up your secret, Danny.
Everybody's gonna be Google mapping.
Yeah. Belladonna Tropa, hey. Hello, Nicola and Adam. You're so happy you're here. You're the artists that make Detroit awesome. You two have been more than an inspiration to us than you realize. I just wanted to say how thrilled I am you're here and hope to see you again soon.
That's very
thank
sweet.
you.
Yeah.
Evan Miller says.
Oh yeah, and I think both of these two were instrumental.
Yes, I think Evan helped set up this year. Thank you, Evan. The great meeting of the minds. The only way this could get better is if David Lynch was there too. Hey, are you David Lynch fans too?
Oh. Kevin, could you tell us the weather?
Yeah. What's the weather?
What's the weather?
The thing David Lynch was doing during COVID.
Oh,
Every
right.
morning he would do a live feed of the weather.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I love David Lynch. David Lynch lives only about 3 miles away from here right now. So I make a point of driving kind of past his area all the time. And he lives, one of the houses he has is one of the houses at the beginning of Lost Highway, the one with the viewer that you can see, that you can see the first shot of the street. So it's kind of, if you ever come here, I'll take you there.
Oh my God, amazing.
We'll stalk David.
Yes, we'll be like teenage
we'll be there in May, but
stalkers.
you won't be there.
Yeah, too bad.
He's the only Hollywood celebrity I think that I would really get goo-goo over.
For good reason. Good reason.
2 questions for you. First of all, how has your background as visual artist affected your approach to making music, if at all? And do you create in different mediums with the same set of principles? Secondly, can we expect Detroit House Guest Volume 2 with Kev on a few tracks? Hey, forget that last question. Go with the first question.
Yeah.
Well, right. We're already talking about your Warren visit. So there you go. That one's answered.
I Warren, yes.
Detroit House Guest, we won a grant.
Yeah,
to do that.
did win.
That's amazing.
That's how that was able to happen.
Yeah,
and it was a big grant.
Yeah, we were
shocking.
Pay.
That's how it's done.
Flowed in.
Yeah, these days, right?
In.
We flew them
So
in.
Is that arranged through some sort of state thing, or is that an arts community there, or how is that organized?
It was by this place. It's called the Knight. It was the Knight Foundation. So
Yeah.
it was just something they were doing, and I think they're still kind of doing it in Detroit. But I feel like it's not necessarily so much for artists right now. It's more for like placemakers and community. Whereas when we won this grant years and years ago, it was like more artist-based artist projects. So it was a wonderful thing.
Our approach
but
to the grant was musicians see every city in the world, the lucky ones like us, and you never see the city.
yeah, you never get
You
to
see the
spend
inside of a black box. You
smelly bar.
maybe if you feel adventurous, you go to a restaurant and the next day you say, I'm not doing that again, because you ended up running out of time and not feeling ready to go on stage. You know how that always goes. And so we said, we want a grant to bring musicians to Detroit without playing a show, to show them the city so they can actually see it for the first time and tell everybody else in the world how great it is. And secondly, we have time to write and be together instead of just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And we won on those merits of musicians do need a break and they need to see Detroit. So
That's great. I mean, I noticed that I know that Rihanna's family is part of like the sort of the remnants of the automotive industry that was dying off there in things. I guess everybody in some way must be related, somebody that must be part of the downfall of the whole automotive industry in Michigan. Probably a big question.
yeah, that's a pretty big question.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually born in Detroit, but my dad was like a small engines engineer, so he actually started at Ford but left because of the politics and then moved on to designing like lawnmower engines or like then onto fuel pumps and weird shit like that. And then unfortunately I ended up not unfortunately, but I ended back up in the thumb of Michigan as a teenager. So
you know what that means?
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. What does that mean?
Rihanna.
Ask Rihanna.
Yeah. So
Rihanna, what's the thumb of Michigan? I think she left there too early.
So this is Michigan, and this is where Detroit is.
Okay.
So this is like the thumb
Okay.
where I grew up, which is like
The thumb.
Nowheresville.
It's a good name for an album.
Nowheresville.
That's where we wrote the demos
Yeah.
for that record.
Okay.
Right.
But everyone in Michigan, it's like, where are you from? It's like,
You got to show the hands.
everyone
So it's
does
a
it.
common thing to say I'm from the thumb.
Well,
Or-
I mean, it's not because you don't really want to be from the thumb, but yes, it is a saying.
We're learning everything new all the time, and this is one new thing I'm storing right now. Keith Kemp says Detroit House gets a
Keith
few
Kemp.
Hey, Keith.
Hi, Keith. Sorry.
Becoming adult. For most artists, originality is preceded by a phase of learning and often emulating others. What was this like for adult as you transitioned from artificial material and lacquer? Good questions, huh?
Yeah, I think any band.
Like who taught you? No, but who taught you how to use your electronics? That's a good question right there.
Well, right off the bat, it would be Brendan Gillen from Interdimensional Transmissions. Keith knows who I'm talking about.
Ectomorph.
Yeah, you got to have one of those friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I moved up from Indiana, and there was nothing like, there's no magazines. There was no way to know how gear was made. And back then people didn't share their gear as much, and I ended up buying, do you know the Emax 2? I know you do.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got one downstairs.
Did you know that Baldwin made a version of it?
What?
So Baldwin tried to get into the electronic music business because they were like, oh, pianos aren't selling. So they made an Emax 2, or they literally just put stickers, like they got a license from Emax and they put stickers on top of it that said Baldwin. And it was 100% an Emax 2. And they tried to sell them as their new line.
Are you kidding?
No. So I ended up getting one in high school for super cheap. This would have been like 1988, 87.
That's crazy.
but it said Baldwin, but it was identical. I mean, you literally just could peel up the paper and peel it up, and it said Emax 2. But that was like the
crazy.
only thing you could buy. And the only reason I even knew about that was because of Depeche Mode's 101. You know, at that time, you're 15, 16, you're looking at I would look at live pictures of you and be like, oh, what's this Mirage? What's this? You know, and like, I want to try to find one of those, you know? And
that's incredible. I got to look into this Baldwin Emax story. We got to see. You don't still have it, do you?
I lent it to a friend. 10 years went by. I came back and said, do you still have that? And he's like, no, we moved. And I get it. I wasn't mad at him. It was my fault.
You gave it up.
I gave it up. You know, all of a sudden you've got a sampler on your computer and you're like, do I really need this incredibly huge?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, yeah, I wish I had it, but you can't keep everything.
Gear question, talk about the evolution of your live rig. Both Adam setup and any effects or special microphones for Nicola. Did we go through this? I don't know.
Well, I mean, we kind of went through it.
When I get bored,
I mean, it's just
I have to change it up. So I got really comfortable between 2012 and 2016 with a really nice all synth rig. I even built this dolly that all the synths and stands were on, so I could take 3 X stands on one dolly and roll it off stage for the opening bands and just roll it back out for us. It was quite impressive looking on stage. It didn't, it wasn't small. But then I just got to the point where I was like, I know how to do this. I want to be challenged again.
Yeah.
And so that's when I moved into the pads.
Well,
at the beginning, it was impossible.
I mean, right, it was now too, like, we have a couple albums that are like guitar and bass. And I mean, right now we're just like playing the more synth orient, and that's also like the really hard thing about our band is just
we did 2 albums that were bass guitar. So you can't do those.
We
on
don't
certain
stay
tours.
in like our genre. So like sometimes
great,
we make shit and we're like, again, can't play it out.
Yeah.
So a lot of times audience people will yell like for a certain song, and you want to stop the show and go, let me explain to you why I can't do that.
I mean, you probably experienced that where people are disappointed, like, why don't you play this song or that song? Well,
well,
I can't take 20 years of
play it ever
on the road. Like,
right. Yeah.
If records still sold, maybe.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, everyone, it's always interesting to hear everybody's, how idea of their equipment and how they change and everything. And I think Keith Camp, M. Wilson, and Joey Galvin, that's not answering your question. You're asking Nicola and Adam, how would you describe the music scene in Detroit?
Oh, well, I mean, it's always, COVID killed everything, right? So, but I feel like Detroit music scene, it's like, sometimes it's very lively, sometimes it's very sleepy. We also get passed up by a lot. I mean, Skinny Puppy didn't come here.
I know. I just thought that was weird.
I mean, we get passed up by a lot of amazing bands, but I mean, there's also like there's like great weirdo electronic shit that's happening here. There's classic rock and roll. I mean, it's Detroit. There's the techno scene, I think right now, because of like everything that's been going on through the years with movement, is really like very flourishing, and like there's a lot of good stuff going on in that camp. But
the pre-parties are better than the festival now.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, really? Still?
Yeah.
Oh, good to hear.
The festival has gotten very commercial, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with Pax Sahal, but I'll still say it. Come on, guys, get a little weird.
Exactly.
Bring back the underground.
We played the very first year. We played the very first year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely on the world map, though. That's not just on Detroit map.
True.
It's a world musical map. So it's great to be taking part in that thing. Thanks for your question, Joey, and Gabe. Thank you for your question. Sort of touching on the same thing. Mikhail Pomeroy, I wonder if an adult could tell us about their choice of band name and its formatting. They have been my favorite band since I first heard Resuscitation. The evolution of their discography has always kept me hooked. The live shows are always amazing. We've made it to every Cleveland show and even Detroit a few times. Decampment.
That's awesome.
Ah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean,
Good to hear the comments,
again,
huh?
yeah. What?
Good. It's great to hear when
We're
I don't read the
connecting.
questions before, and then I read them up. So positive, you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice.
The
Yeah.
codes.
The name. How do we get the name?
What? Oh, yeah.
the name.
Again,
I think
I don't
we went
know.
over that, didn't we?
Right. We did kind of.
Yeah, we
Well,
kind of
were
went
looking
over.
for something
wanted
very
to be at the-
utilitarian.
Yeah, we just wanted to be at the
We even
top
thought
of the list.
period made it even more utilitarian. Like it was just sort of some like government, stamp. And that was before Google.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no idea that we would be a band 25 plus years later and impossible to find on the internet.
Right.
That's great. Thanks for your question. The Coes. Good people. And I just got to say it here. So when Rabies was out in '89, I remember buying cassette tape release, and I had it with me at college, CCS, where I had met Adam. I ran into him. We got talking, and he mentioned it was his birthday. So I gave him the Skinny Puppy tape. I have good memories of talking with Adam in his dorm one day, too. He told me how inspired he was to make music and our influence. He had to talk about Severed Heads, of course. They're still burned into my brain too. He ran past me one day bleeding as an art project with glass tubes that broke. I'm just happy that when things went great for Adam, and he and Nicola have made great music for a long time. So thanks for that. Looking forward to the chat. Man, you guys, it's like
That's
all these
nice.
people are
Thank
coming
you,
out of the shadows.
I love Pete. I love you, Pete.
Pete, big
did
up Pete.
Pete did the nicest thing. We played at City Club. I don't know if you ever went there in Detroit.
I'm not
Remember
too
City Club?
It's pretty legendary.
we know
Leelanau
St. Andrews
City
Hall.
Club. Yeah.
We're like
okay.
St. Andrews Hall regulars.
Yeah.
Or whatever that other one is.
Yep.
But we played a show there 2 years ago, and Pete brought this adult. It was like a piece of plexiglass that said adult with our logo.
Yeah, it was
lit
great.
up, and it was for our merch table, and it's been with us since. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Pete, thank you for your question. Del, hi guys. You may remember that I first saw you in Cleveland with Real Kill Kult, and then met you at the SP show in Pittsburgh, where I showed the awesome close-up pic I took of Nicola. You guys are awesome, and I hope you can come to perform in Cleveland again at some point. Also, I love your music and the way you experiment with using different tools for sounds on stage, like the tape. It's an element that made me fall in love with the industrial genre, but I don't see it quite as often these days. Are there other unconventional instruments you've been using on stage before or have considered utilizing?
Like a cat.
Like a cat? Maybe they can. Yeah.
Whoa, you disappeared. That's a very nice message. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, it's that, like, I've played the vacuum cleaner before, which many people
Oh,
have
there you
played
go.
vacuum cleaners, but
Yeah.
that's like more of a Cooper's Miller thing, not so much an adult thing.
By the way, when they say Cooper's Miller thing, they're talking about the art thing separated from the music thing.
That's right.
Pay attention to that if you're seeing there's like just absolutely tons of work that you guys have done, and you're continuing to do that, I take it.
Yep.
Try.
Can't
See?
stop.
Very modestly, Adam says, yep. That's because that will continue. And I don't know if this is public, but man, I was blown away with all these things that you put on
Well,
here.
and it's so outdated,
outdated.
too. God,
But
there's an
it's so
example of
interesting.
COVID.
I also saw that you did a
That's the piece we did at Mike Kelly's.
Oh yeah, this is what Carrie Lauren from Destroy All Monsters curated. So I actually used a weed whacker
okay, there you go.
in this piece, and there's some wind chimes.
Well, she destroyed wind chimes, which was the finale, which was absolutely
but
phenomenal.
I
It
just
was-
like cleaning balls.
Cleaning balls.
Cleaning balls.
I also saw you did a residency in Saitama, Japan. Now, I'm a big fan of Japan. It's like my second home country.
Nice.
I would love to know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, so actually one of the artists on Detroit House Guests, Luna Minnow, she's from Japan. She lives in Los Angeles. And
She could be your neighbor.
yeah,
Oh, could be.
she lives near Frogtown.
Yeah. Frogtown.
Okay, yeah. That's down where Douglas lives too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe not anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they
I think
live
he's
there.
moved since.
Yeah, I
then.
think they've moved, but yes.
They used to, yeah.
Yeah.
But so she got asked to do this residency in Japan, even though she was in LA. But the residency was a Japanese artist living in a different country, had to pick another artist who's from that country, and they both go to Sayatama and work together and make a show. And she went up to our friend Ruth, who worked at Book Soup. Do you remember that bookstore?
Oh, right, yeah.
And said, "Do you know anybody that might want to just go to Japan for a month that doesn't have like a real job that like is an artist, like a visual artist?"
But I think also had to be a musician.
But had to have a fairly good social media presence. That was part of the
such
thing.
a weird requirement, but
And our friend Ruth was like, "Well, Adam
yeah,
is a painter."
Yeah, what about Adam from Adult? And then Luna was like, I love Adult.
She's like, "They're one of my favorite bands." And so literally flew to Japan, and Nicola came with, and we
I tagged along because, you know.
Well, you have to.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And we
well, even if you weren't allowed, you should.
Yeah, I know.
She's still she's one of LA's most under-recognized artists. She's avant-garde as hell. She's absolutely brilliant. And so is her husband, Tosh Berman. And we just became fast friends, and they became part of the Detroit House Guest record. So there's 2 songs on there.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is when we were in Japan, we would go to like the 7-Eleven every day, and they loved him. And also because when he would say, "Arigato gozaimasu," like he would say it really loud, like a lady. They thought that was,
it took weeks.
They thought that was charming that he I
would think it's charming too.
His Japanese was very feminine.
Well, I didn't know that a Japanese male is supposed to say arigato gozaimasu. And
arigato gozaimasu.
But you have to go down a note, whereas you go up a note if you're female, and you go arigato gozaimasu. So I was doing that, and they thought it was so funny that I was doing that, which of course I didn't care about any sort of gender associations.
Yeah.
But one day I finally said, "Why is it so funny?" to Luna. And she goes, "Well, because you say it as in the feminine in Japan. And they're not used to that." Because, we were in a very small, sleepy suburb.
Yeah. We were like an hour. Yeah. I was going to say hour outside of Tokyo. So
it's a good place. A lot of our friends live up there.
It was amazing. It was such a interesting, like, to be able to. We were there for a month. One of the best.
That's the only one.
Best memories ever.
In what month did you go?
Oh, it was fucking hot. I think we were there. Oh, in June, because it was my birthday. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like the end of the. So
it gets even hotter.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
It gets even hotter. You wouldn't even believe it.
We had one of the most, and I'm serious about like life experiences, like one of the most amazing things. So the director of the program, Koji, he would be around, you'd talk to him, and you had it? We had never had soba before.
No, we've never had soba.
Yeah.
Well, and he's tries to be gluten-free. This was like in 2014.
That sounds right. And so we were talking to Koji about how much we absolutely love soba. So total surprise on Nicola's birthday, June 28th. His dad is a famous soba chef in
I can't think of
it. Starts with the Y. It's a big town.
Yokohama?
Yokohama.
Yes.
Thank you. So his dad and his mom,
who is a
white witch.
A white witch.
A white witch.
She's a witch.
They packed up all their cooking utensils and ingredients, took a train to Sayatama, made Nicola, like, I'm not kidding, like a 36-dish
It was
dinner.
You know where you have all these like mountain vegetables and all these little cute, like, it was so they just prepared this like authentic, beautiful, like you could never experience anything so
there's
lovely,
nothing like that,
like a home cooked soba.
You'll never have that soba like they have in Japan over in North America.
No.
At least I've never found it.
No,
that's the thing we look forward to most when we go there.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Hey, quit showing your butt.
Oh, sorry.
she's very insistent. Well, we've got one more question here from Joseph Lagraza. Local Detroit here, attended Swans at the Magic Stick 2013, standing up front right next to Nicola during the whole show. When and how did the friendship come to be with Michael and Adult? I very much enjoy the house guest series and know when Swans come to town, Adult will be in attendance.
Oh, that's really cute. We met, God, we were in Glasgow.
No, Chicago.
No. Oh, yeah. I guess the first time we met Michael, we were playing a show at the
Wire Magazine Music Festival
at the Empty
Good one.
Bottle.
in Chicago.
Yeah, and Michael, the crazy thing is we were the headliner. Michael was before us, which I always find like
That didn't make sense.
didn't make any sense. But anyway, Michael was.
But it was
You know
Michael.
why? That means he doesn't want to go on after you. You bring the party.
We did play one. We played one of their when
Right.
Swans was like going to be done forever, which they're not. We played one of the last Warsaw shows in New York. Support, like the last 3 shows, and he was like, "You can only play one because you guys are too loud."
What? Did he have a smile?
Yes, of course. But so we met Michael like in, I don't know, 2004
Good
at the
guess.
Bottle. He was very sweet. I was having a problem with my throat. He gave me some Fisherman's Friends.
Oh, yeah.
And then years later, we were playing a festival in Glasgow.
Mhm.
And we went and watched him. And then we were trying to get a ride back to our hotel, but he had gotten a ride.
But
and
the festival didn't have enough runners.
Yeah, enough runners.
Back to the hotel.
So we were like, "Hey, could we by chance like share your car?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then of course,
And he was like, "Do you guys want to go get
Yeah.
dinner?" And we were, because I think what a lot of
That's how it
people,
happens.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people. I remember when we invited Genesis to see our first horror film at Anthology Film Archives in New York, and we had Genesis contact through Jake Usna from doing this soundtrack to the film Open. And so we said, "Hey, Genesis, we don't know each other. We have mutual friends, but would love to invite you to this horror film."
that like we're doing at Anthology Film Archives, and
And so Jen came.
yeah,
And after the show, we were like, "I cannot believe you came. This means a lot." And Jen was like, "You can't believe how little I get invited to. Like, people are scared of me,
Jen's
and
so
I want to go.
sweet.
I want to go see stuff."
Yeah.
And so that always struck. So that actually gave us the courage to ask Michael, "Can we ride in your car?
Yeah.
Oh, good
Can we
idea.
share this runner?"
but
And then we ended up.
yeah, we had
We went
yeah.
to the Charles
the
Bukowski
way.
bar.
yeah.
The Charles Bukowski bar in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is funny though. I feel like I'm always getting caught though, being like hopefully a good audience member. I know when I saw you guys in Pittsburgh that somebody recorded video footage of me jumping around, which I totally peed my pants so hard during Assimilate. It's embarrassing because I was like jumping around like a lunatic, but I feel like I'm always getting caught in those situations.
That's not a bad thing. I take that as a compliment.
It's a good show when you pee your pants.
Oh my God.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Let's go back to the public restroom topics then. Okay, I would really, I've almost taken 2 hours of your time. I'd really like to thank you guys today for dropping in and sharing a little bit of your world with us and letting us in. And I mean, everybody get out there and support, see the tour. It's starting real soon. What's that? 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks away?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And you'll be out there and be out there with Justin and the boys and Kanga. Guys, have a great time on tour. And stay in touch, and I'll stay in touch with you. And thank you again.
Please do. Oh, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
a total pleasure getting to Sunday chat with you.
Yeah. We'll, the future. We'll have to see what the future beholds.
Yeah.
Come to Warren.
Maybe with Cyberactive. And
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would
be
be
good.
lovely. Yeah, we
That would be
actually
lovely. What do you think about that?
we just gave that a spin. Congrats, it's great. We just listened to that two days.
night.
2 days was it?
Last night, first
last
listen.
night. Yes.
So
Tiger agrees with that, so she likes that. But Thank you guys again so much. Thank you, Patreon crew, for all of your support and all of your questions. And have a good evening there in Detroit. And hopefully see you guys soon.
Totally.
Keep up the good work.